Yeah, no, you go there, you're coming back at least 4,500 pounds heavier. Hold on. you're like
you get me hype.
You're itching to say stuff, but I'll let you speak.
Yeah.
This is BFB, so we make a bet. It's a big effing bet.
Big effing bets.
That's a
big effing bet.
Fine. I'm giving my reasons of why he's not the safest pick at number one.
Can I ask you a question?
No.
All right, Brain. You don't like me and I don't like you. But let's just do this and I can get back to killing you with beer.
You are now tuned into the Better Fantasy Bureau podcast.
This place is an untapped resource.
I love it!
With your host, Flex HitList.
You must think I'm pretty stupid.
I'm dangerous. I'm very, very dangerous.
And Charlie Chase.
You're very good, You're goddamn right he is.
For the everyday fantasy sports player.
You just blew my mind.
Now, I am going to teach some kids a lesson.
They're a bunch of fucking amateurs.
And now, on with the show, Party People.
What's up, party people? Welcome back. Let's do this again, Brutus. Episode 3 of the Better Fantasy Bureau. I am your man, 50 Grand Flex HitList, and my man here, 100 years.
Charlie Chase, baby. Episode 003. we're good already.
Yeah, and it's already off and running in true Charlie fashion. But yes, we're here with episode 3. We're starting it up again. We're doing 2 this week. And the buzz is growing, man.
Yeah, absolutely. The more and more, like every week, we're getting a lot more feedback.
Yeah. The buzz has been growing. It's been fantastic. I'd have to give this episode now. I have to give a big shout out to 2 of my really good friends, Ryan Patton.
Patton.
Yeah, because I like to say when they Kendrick Lamar song. Goes, I am Ryan Patton. So it's like, so Ryan and Crystal, I'd like to give them both a big shout out. And it's funny because Ryan, in my league that I run, before we started all this, I was running a league called, I still run it with my boy Kento. I run Sunday Fun Day F Mondays is the name of my league. And shout out to all my party people in that league. That's been going strong. No one's really been leaving. Ryan's the league champion.
Is that the one that you've never won?
No, I haven't never won it. Yes, that's the only one I never won.
All right.
You know, I know now. Sure. Now I know what it feels like to be you and a Cowboys. And the Cowboys say, Just to reiterate once again, it's all this Cowboys talk is just friendly banter between Giants fans and Cowboys. Because even when the Cowboys come to town to MetLife Stadium, still I friendly banter with the other Cowboys fans and they friendly banter with me. It's not, obviously it's just sports talk. It's I don't hate a Cowboys fan. But anyway, so Ryan and Crystal have been like huge supporters of the show, giving us tons of feedback and giving us lots of help. And Crystal's been getting a lot of people to subscribe, and Ryan's been giving us a lot of pointers. And so Ryan's the league champion. And then Crystal says, because they're a couple, they're together. And then Crystal says, so, Ryan, I'm just looking where we're going to put our trophy. Ryan's like, our trophy? I won it. You didn't win yet. So, Crystal, you got to win it, and then you could hold it over Ryan's head and let him know it's not his trophy.
Absolutely.
So what's going on? Big plans for the weekend, Charlie?
No, nothing much. I'm just, definitely working. Got some work stuff to do. And my family's leaving for Europe, so I'm going to go see them over the weekend.
Where they going, Italy?
Yeah, they're going to Italy. They're going to Italy for 2 months. It's a nice vacation.
Some life, yeah. It's dope.
Yeah,
my grandmother went away to her yearly Argentina trip. She's currently.
You ever been?
Yeah, plenty of times.
Yeah,
plenty of times.
What part?
Well, my family is from my Argentina side of my family. They're from Santiago del Estero.
Oh, all right.
Which was like poor part.
Yeah.
That's all we'll say about that.
All right.
But so they're from there. But when I go to Buenos Aires, and then we have a house, an apartment over there in the city of Buenos Aires called Caballito. That's what we have.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. Now you go there, you're coming back at least 4,500 pounds heavier.
Yeah, the food, right? Good. Good steak.
Yeah, but because people don't know that I'm mixed. I'm Argentinian, Colombian, and Italian. Mm-hmm. Raised Argentinian, but and also my father's side is all Italians, and but Italians are very much influenced by Argentinians in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but a lot of steak and a lot of pasta.
Yeah, for sure. Good wine too.
Oh yeah. Right, so my wife loves a good Argentinian Malbec.
Cool. You got to make it back out there, man.
Yeah, I last time I went was 2 years ago. I used to go every year as a kid growing up, and then when I hit high school, when I was, I guess, trusted to be left by myself by my grandmother, which threw massive house parties. People in Woodside know I threw massive house parties in my house. But anyways,
like a good old house party, especially in Queens. Queens really knows how to throw the house parties. The best, I would think, out of the 5 boroughs.
Well, Queens is the best borough. No offense to anybody else in any borough, but it's just you don't live in Queens. It's just we say it because we're from Queens, and But you're a bigger Jay-Z guy than you are a Nas guy, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, come on, Jay's the GOAT, bro.
Stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
I mean, we would need a podcast just for that. But,
yeah. I'm not gonna get started on my views on hip hop and
But this is interesting. What did you think of Nas's last album? Did you listen to it? Or?
Yeah, I heard it.
Yeah.
It's only 7 songs. How can I not hear it? So listen to it.
Well, I didn't know if you got to
the
it.
train ride over here. Yeah. Listen to it.
Yeah, it was all right, but
it was okay.
Yeah,
Nas, I hold at a different standard.
The J&B album though was serious.
Nas is like a what? Oh, I haven't even heard that yet.
Give that a listen.
Well, the Nas I hold is like a first rounder. There's picks in hip hop for me. Yeah.
His average ADP is 1.01.
Just about. He's up there with the Wu-Tang Clan and Gang Starr for me, at least.
I mean, look, I love being from Queens. How can you not love Nas? But if I had to rate the top 3, I would put him 3 after Jay, Big, and then
Jiggy Bait. No, Jiggy.
Jiggy.
No, is it with Biggie, Jay-Z, and Nas?
But I got Jay, Big, and then Nas.
Yeah, I know you're. You have your you love Tidal. I'll tell you that much. Yeah. You love Tidal.
Tidal's the best $19 I spend every month. Let me tell you that.
I never use Tidal.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'll let you check it out.
Nah, it's fine. I'm fine. I'm doing
the shirts came in.
Yeah. So once again, party people, we are growing. We're only on episode 3 within like about 2 weeks. This is our 3rd episode.
Yeah.
So and we have a lot more
quick turnaround.
Huge, quick, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we have a lot more planned going on this summer to get you prepared for your draft and for the fantasy season. And one thing we're doing, of course, is a lot of merchandising. So if you're looking right now on YouTube, first of all, please go to YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Not only subscribe,
but
please rate us, leave us comments, no problem. And when you subscribe to us on iTunes, on Spotify, on Stitcher, on Google Play, and what was the other one I was missing?
Stitcher, SoundCloud.
SoundCloud is going to go, yeah. So please go and then rate us, please. Rate us and leave us comments and subscribe to us. And it's all big help. And once again, I want to shout out all my peoples in Woodside, all my friends and all my family that are helping us out so much.
You're going to be the mayor of Woodside one day. For sure. There's no doubt about it.
No. Kento has that job. It's fun. Anyways, so if you're looking at us on the YouTube channel right now, on our YouTube page, you could see here that we have an abundance of shirts coming off, and I want to shout out my man Moon. Big shout out to my man Moon because he's the one that printed out these shirts for us. You could look at the end of our YouTube page, and you can see his information if you want to get any kind of printing done. Also, you can see a mug here in the center, and on that mug that he did for us on both sides, that Fallout Boy is holding down, and then Fallout Boy fell down into the mug. So
right on cue.
Do you know about Fallout Boy?
Nah.
Yeah, you should. You're telling me about Tidal. Fallout Boy is more important than Tidal. And then the Millhouse superhero character, not the band. So yeah, you can see here we got all different kinds of shirts. So Charlie, we got your Dallas Cowboys shirt over here. The navy blue with silver
right in
print.
the middle. You would notice.
Yeah. Right in the middle. Yeah. I don't have a comeback for that to give at you, but whatever. Sure. Right, and then we got the Giants ones, which would be all blue with the red print. The Cowboys, I said, would be navy blue with the silver print. We got even for the Eagles fans, which is a dark green with a silver print. For the Jets fans over there, like a brighter green with a white print, and then we could just make up any kind of assortment colors if you want. So if you do want a shirt, you want to order one, let us know. We're going to be getting hats. We're going to be getting regular V-neck cotton shirts because these are dry fit shirts. These are great materials. You see the one I'm wearing right now is all black with the white print.
They're awesome for the gym.
Fantastic especially for a hot day like today.
Mm-hmm.
It's burning out there.
For sure.
It's scorching, yeah. So, it really does keep you cool. Dry fit shirt. I'm a big fan of dry fit shirts. I love dry fit shirts. So these dry fit shirts are, and I've washed these shirts 1,000 times. I wear them when I go to the kickboxing gym, when I play ball. So, yeah, they're fantastic. If you guys want to order yours, you can hit us up on on Twitter, on our podcast. So yeah, Twitter is @PodcastBFB. On our Instagram @BFB Podcast. Email us bfantasyb@gmail.com. Or while you're leaving us a little comment on iTunes, hey, I want to get a shirt. Let me know. And once again, don't forget, you could also call us. You could call us on our voicemail and you can leave us a question. Our number is 856-369-0461. Once again, 856-369-0461. I got to get that drop from Little John. right? 369. I gotta get that. No,
Nice, a Little John reference on the pod.
thank you for that little like, you're so corny flex kind of laugh. I appreciate that. Thanks a lot for that, my man. But all right, now party people. So now moving on. So we got a really big show planned. So then last week what we did is we tackled the running backs, which was of course always a big major topic because people are so scared that there's so little running backs out there. And we're going to talk about, I have a theory about that, but we'll talk about that in the next show, Draft Tactics, which we have our first guest coming up on that show.
Next week.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that in a little bit. But right now, we're going to go and talk. I'm messing everything up over here. Sorry, I'm tired
Sorry,
from
Flex.
I DJ'd
It's
last
a
night.
long weekend.
Shout out to everybody on Woodside that came out to Charlie's last night. Summer and Heather,
It's
bartender.
not my place, by the way, but
It's not your place, no. No. It's not what you own. Would you call it Charlie's if you owned the bar?
maybe I allowed you to.
Colorgeras.
Yeah.
Colorgeras.
Better name for a bar.
That'd be dope.
Yeah.
I always wanted to call a place Buyback.
Buyback.
I think that'd be a dope name for a bar, no?
There's got to be a bar called Buyback somewhere. Has to be. Someone's.
I didn't buy it yet, no.
No. All right.
Now there might be. I'm giving out free information here, marketing information. So what we're going to do today is that we're going to talk about the wide receivers today. That's going to be the main topic of the day.
Yeah.
But as always, so let's start off first with our little warm-up segment, which is so last week last show we talked about the running backs. And we didn't touch on the first major running backs. And the reason we didn't do that because we want to touch on a little bit today on a segment about who to take at number one. So right now what we're going to do is talk about who to take at number one. You ready for the Charlie?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
So, who you picking?
Who you picking?
Who you picking, exactly. So what we're going to do here is just talk about the main four running backs, really. There isn't a main four, but you could add another fifth and sixth depending on what you feel, on who to take number one overall. So to talk about the main four guys, which are in no order, it's just Le'Veon Bell, Ezekiel Elliott, David Johnson, and Todd Gurley. All right. So if you had the number one pick, Charlie, who would you pick? And then also who you're picking is who you recommend to take at number one.
Right.
And why?
And that's probably the number one question that gets asked in fantasy because a lot of the casuals, they're going to ask that question.
Yeah.
But here's the way I look at it. Like you can't mess up your first pick. Right? I mean, if your first pick busts, chances are it's going to be really hard for you to make any kind of noise in that league.
Yeah, like last year people that took David Johnson. I mean, it wasn't their fault because he got hurt, but it really hurt.
Mike Evans.
Mike Evans.
Evans, I couldn't tell you how many leagues I took him number one. And
I had him in 2 leagues.
Needless to say, that didn't pan out. But to me, safety is important, right? It's sort of like when you play daily, there's two different types of games in daily. I mean, there's more than two, but the two top ones are tournaments and cash games. Now, when you're building a cash game lineup, safety is the most important thing. So you want to draft those players that have like really high floors, right? Now, when you're playing in tournaments, all you want is upside. So that's when you'll take a couple of shots on players that you think that have the biggest upside, but maybe they don't have necessarily a safe floor. And that's kind of how I look at the number one overall pick. Now, if you look at the four backs that we mentioned, all four of them have question marks. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So with Lev Bell, there's his contract situation where as of this recording, there hasn't been a resolution to it yet.
No.
Now they're saying that they have until Monday to get a deal done.
Yeah.
We're recording this on July 14th. So by the 16th, they have, that deadline to get a deal done.
Yeah.
So they have his contract situation going on. Gurley, he's interesting because he had a phenomenal year last year. But, the Rams defense has a chance to go from good to great this season. Would you agree? With the moves that they made?
No, I think the defense is going to be a top defense.
It's going to be great. Factor in, Cooks is coming in. He's going to take targets away from Gurley. He was heavily involved in the passing game last year. So there's question marks there. And David Johnson, for as much upside as he has, there's a question mark if he's going to stay on the field. I mean, he's been hurt. He's had some kind of injury for the last 3 years. And then that brings me to Zeke. So to answer the question before I went on that little tangent, my number one pick is Zeke Elliott.
Big surprise.
Big surprise. And I'm not being a homer here, but let me build a case for Zeke. Now, what's the biggest knock on Zeke?
I'm sure you're referring to targets.
Targets, right? So my point being is that those numbers I think are gonna go up because there's 220 targets missing between Dez and Witten. Now, let's look at the offensive line. The offensive line is still one of the best in the game. I mean, there's been, all these people saying that the offensive line is taking a step back. I don't see it. You still have 3 All-Pros returning to that offensive line. Tyron Smith, Travis Frederick, and Zach Martin. Lyle Collins plays right tackle. He's good. And then Connor Williams, the rookie out of Texas, had a first-round grade on a lot of draft boards. So the offensive line is going to be good. To me, Zeke is the safest out of all 4. So he's my number 1 pick. I'm going with Zeke Elliott. Call me a homer, but I just think that if at the end of this year Zeke leads the league in rushing and leads the league in rushing touchdowns, is that going to surprise you?
No, absolutely not.
No. So I'm going with Zeke Elliott.
Now, my rebuttal on this.
Of course. Rebuttal from the Giant fan, but go ahead.
Well, rebuttal from your partner in this show. It's more like it. So my rebuttal on this is don't get me wrong. Zeke is a stud and is definitely a top 4 running back. Okay? It doesn't matter where you want to put him, where you think he's going to end up. I'm bullish and like hesitant against him for certain things. Don't get me wrong. Now, like I said, I will more than likely be drafting him over Saquon Barkley for like almost every draft, but because I think he is, especially right now, the better player. But
he's got the better offensive line. That's
like I said, the Giant. Well, I'll make my case about Saquon Barkley in a little bit. I mean, I'm not saying the only reason I would take Saquon Barkley number 1. I'm going to get back to Zeke real quick. The only reason I would, and is because I am definitely this year going to take him at least. No, I'm going to take him in. Well, but I'm letting the people know. But I'm taking him at least in one of my drafts. I'm taking him definitely. So let's say like I'm in 4 leagues, right? About to start a 5th one. If I'm in my 5 leagues and I'm having my 5th draft and I have yet to draft Saquon Barkley yet, and I had the number 1 overall pick in that last draft of mine and I didn't take Saquon Barkley yet, I'm going to take Saquon number 1 just because me as a Giants fan want him in one league. And honestly, it's way riskier.
Who's safer out of the 2?
No, Zeke is safer out of the 2
it's not even a question.
No, it is a question. And we'll say what. Hold on.
Safer?
Yes. Yeah. Right. We're going to different topics. Let me first rebuttal you against Zeke. Let me get against Zeke, okay? To let you know one thing about Zeke, he did drop a whole yard per carry last year, as he did in his rookie year, okay? He went from 5.1 to 4.1. That's not necessarily great to be 4.1, okay? You know what that puts him in the same? You know who else had 4.1 yards per carry? Jordan Howard, C.J. Anderson, Rex Burkhead, Isaiah Crowell. That's the level you're putting him in. But this is what I'm saying. So you're putting him. Hold on. Let me give you my rebuttals. This is where you're putting him in that category as the number 1 overall pick. Like I said, he's still going to be a stud. He still ended up even as RB12 despite missing 6 games.
Right.
Hold on. you're like
you're getting me hype.
You're itching to say stuff, but I'll let you speak.
Yeah.
And he also led all the top 4 backs with rushing attempts. He had 242. All right. But overall, Dallas is going to be a bad offense this year. They're not going to be
I don't agree with that, though. I don't agree that they're going to be a bad offense. The offense is going to run through him.
Let me finish. They're going to be a bad offense. It is going to run through him. And damn, let me finish.
I want to know why they're going to be a bad offense.
If you let me talk, I'll tell you.
Good.
They're going to be a bad offense. Because they're only mainly going to run through him. They don't have any other weapons enough to make any other person nervous. Just like your reasons last week, and if you didn't tune into the show, tune in last week, just like your reasons that they're going to stack the box against Leonard Fournette because they missed all these wide receivers that they don't have to support him. Same thing. Dak Prescott is not a quarterback that passes a lot, and that's one reason also why it contributes to Zeke not getting his targets, because Dak Prescott is not necessarily your pure throwing quarterback. Dak Prescott's good. Don't worry. None of these things I'm saying that's wrong. If you take Zeke number 1 overall, I think you are fine with that, and I wouldn't be mad at anybody doing that. Any of these 4 running backs, you could take them number 1. So if you were to take Zeke number 1, that's fine. I'm giving my reasons of why he's not the safest pick at number 1.
Can I ask you a question?
No.
How many times is Dak Prescott going to drop back and throw the ball this year?
Not that much, to be honest with you. Not as much as you think.
If he does,
he doesn't do that.
He's not going to do it at least 30 times a game. He's not going to drop back and throw the ball at least 30 times a game.
Maybe, but maybe
All right,
not.
So if he does that, that's 400 possible pass attempts.
But
you're telling me that Allen Hurns is not going to get 100 targets in this offense?
But if Allen Hurns even stays on the field. Wait. We're talking a little bit more about it, and you're getting really excited. Like you're a Cowboys guy, and we're talking about who to take number 1. We're not just talking about the Cowboys in general, okay?
Of course.
So let's stick on the topic.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, if you were to take Zeke number one, that's okay and that's fine, and that would make me happier. There are safer plays for number one, way safer plays.
See, that I think he has the highest floor, so that makes him the safest pick. But I mean, look, this is why we're debating this. You know what I mean? Like I have no problem taking Zeke number one, but that's me. And there's a lot of people that agree with me, a lot of people that don't. But you know.
That's fine. That's what you're saying. And I'm telling you my reasons why I don't agree with you.
Okay.
But, which is safer players to take at number one, which I feel is 100% Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell, by far, is the safest person to take, all right? He's right now is the best running back in the game. He is averaging...
Can I ask you a question before you go into your Lev Bell stats?
What?
So let's say Lev Bell's contract situation is not resolved by the time, a week before the season, which could very well be the case.
Okay.
Is he still the number one?
If he plays, he's going to be number one. I remember we had this discussion before, and I tried to explain to you before, because you were like, if he doesn't get a contract, I'm not going to take a number one. If he doesn't have a guaranteed contract, he's not going to play, he's not going to be ranked as number one. It's just like when Zeke was even scared of losing 6 games. He wasn't ranked.
No, but
that
my
high.
question to you is if you're taking him number one.
I would take him number one if he's going to play. Yes. But you got to understand, if he doesn't going to play, he's going to be ranked differently. But still, he's ranked as a top 4 running back, so I'm taking him number one.
So August 31st, he doesn't have a contract yet.
If he's going to play, yes. Because if he's going to play, I'm taking him. Yes, 100%. Because he's the safest bet to take. I think the only argument in my mind, to make as far as who to take for number one would be Todd Gurley over him, because I think those are the 2 most safest plays. What I was saying about Le'Veon Bell, best running back in the game, is averaging 209.12 fantasy points per year, okay? That's including even 1 year where he only played 6 games. I'm including that, okay? And that year, he only had 87.2 fantasy points that year, and that dropped his average a lot. But still, he's averaging 209.12 fantasy points per year, okay? And he's got the opportunities like no other. He averages 245.8 carries per season. He averages 79 targets per season. He catches 62.4 balls per year, okay? All this, and even all this is including even the year when he only had 6 games. All this is including that 1 year. And so it's him, to me, has... especially in PPR, he's the safest person to take as number one, and that's what I say for my part about that.
So you're going with Lev Bell. I'm not mad at you with Lev Bell. I think I'm planting my flag with Zeke, and I'm going with him.
That's you. That's you on draft, and I'd be happy with that, because if you had the number 1 pick and I had the number 2 pick, thank you for giving me Zeke at number 2, and I'd be so happy with that. And what you said about David Johnson earlier, he's another safe back to also have. But
I don't know if he's safe, man. I'm scared of injury concern with him.
Yeah, I am too. But I'm talking about when he plays, he's a safe person to have. But there's one thing also that a little bit of concern to me, that when he plays, he had 10 fumbles in his first 2 years.
Yeah,
he had 10 fumbles and he lost 4 of those. Okay, even last year when he only had the 1 game and 11 attempts, he had 2 fumbles.
Yeah,
and lost 1 of those. So it's like 1 game, you had 2 fumbles start off the year, then you broke your wrist and you hurt your knee before his killer season started. So. A little bit scared about, and then
coming off a broken wrist, so a lot of defenders are going to be swiping at that ball.
Yeah. No, and Todd Gurley is a safe pick to have. He averages 11.6 touchdowns season. So, I guess what we're both saying, wrapping up. I mean, now obviously you can't be mad at anybody for taking David Johnson, Todd Gurley, or Bell as first pick over Zeke, right?
No, I'm not.
But your opinion is Zeke,
right? My opinion is Zeke. Honestly, like, to me, and we'll get into this at a later show. We have a draft tactics show coming up. I think the best pick this year is the number 4 pick. That's the pick I want. But I'll get into that on our draft tactics show.
Which little Zeke teaser. Happens to be ranked in overall.
No.
Happens to be ranked
Flex,
in.
he's going 1.01 in a lot of drafts, and he's going as high as 4 or 5.
What did I just say? Where he's being ranked in is number 4, and that's your favorite pick.
Yeah,
it just so happens to be.
But there's a good chance he might not make it to 4.
That's not going against what I said. I just said your favorite pick is 4th, and where he's being ranked is 4th. Coincidence? I think not.
But it's not because of that. It's for other reasons, which we'll get into on the draft taxes show.
And just also real quick to say too, but this is the truth about saying about Saquon Barkley. You can't deny it. Not even just Saquon Barkley, the kind of player he is. Like I said before, they beefed off the offensive line with Nate Solder, and Will Hernandez, who is a mountain. That guy, veteran quarterback play. Odell Beckham Jr. is going to be worried. All the pass catchers get worried. But not even that, just to give you a real quick thing. Like I said, the reason why I would take Saquon number 1 is just that one reason. But because I'm going to take him in at least one league because I want him as a Giants fan. But I don't recommend taking him number 1. But regardless, but look at Pat Shurmur's offense. Last year, the Vikings running backs, they got 108 targets. You know Saquon is a great pass catcher. And with that offense of Pat Shurmur, it's going to take over 108 targets for all the running backs. That's going to go to Saquon. So I think Saquon,
he's not coming off the field.
See, like, so it's one thing about being ranked and one thing about like where you're taking him. Because I have Saquon as a top 3 running back, but I don't have him ranked that way because I still feel like Zeke is a safer pick than Saquon. But I believe that Saquon at the end of the year will end up with more points. You know what I mean? So that's it. At the end of the day, you got to draft who you want. So if you had the number 1 pick, any of those 4 guys would be absolutely fine. But any of those 4 guys, except for one guy, which you're going to go into now, which is the wide receivers, which we're going to talk about Antonio Brown quick. But you ready to go into wide receivers?
Let's do it.
Wide receivers.
So this guy, I want to give you a quick tip about him, a quick crazy stat about him. There's no denying number 1 off the board wide receiver, Antonio Brown. If you were to take Antonio Brown number 1, that'd be fine with me too.
Yeah, you can make a case for him number 1.
There's this crazy stat that I heard, and I looked it up, and it is true. In the past 5 years, he's averaging 116 receptions, 1,569 yards, and 10 touchdowns. That's his average. He's averaging 337.8 fantasy points per year in the past 5 years. And in these past 5 years, he's only missed 3 games.
Yeah.
So it's
super talent, man.
And remember we talked about you mentioned it before about Larry Fitzgerald, 30, into that 30 year mark. He just turned 30.
Yeah.
He just turned 30 4 days ago. Antonio Brown. Happy belated birthday, Antonio Brown, from here at the Better Fantasy Bureau. But but yeah, so if you would that's just a crazy stat right here, right there to here. 337 fantasy points per year to average. As in if you want to take him number 1 or see, we'll talk about that again more in draft strategies.
Yeah. You could build a case for him number 1.
Yeah, you could. I personally like having 2 stud wide receivers and then my running backs to be more like the second tier type. That's just me personally. We'll talk about that next show.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's interesting. It's like the 3-4 years ago, like everybody was going wide receiver heavy in the first round, and now it's like it's completely
because there's a passers league.
Yeah,
it's a little bit different.
But now it's RB heavy.
Yeah, it's good because they feel like it's more depleted. Yeah,
right.
But exactly like I said, so Antonio Brown would be crazy. Not crazy. You wouldn't be crazy for taking him in the first pick. So once again, we'll go about wide receivers. We're going to keep talking about that, and we'll do it like we did with the running back show, talking every 2 rounds. So who did you want to talk about as a wide receiver? I already mentioned Antonio Brown. So
all right, so the wide receiver that I'm looking at that I think is going a little bit too high, and this may shock some people, but Julio Jones. Julio Jones is going average draft position of 2.01 and as low as 2.08 in certain drafts. Now, what's the biggest knock on Julio Jones? Touchdowns, right? I mean, that's it. I mean, if you look
toe injuries,
but we'll you can't really plan for the injuries, but Julio Jones was targeted 100 and I'm sorry, I had it here for 1 second. 133 times last year. Inside the 20, he's also averaged. He was targeted 20 times as well. So he, the targets are definitely there. Now, I just don't see him scoring 3 touchdowns again. And if his touchdowns go up, which there's going to be that year where Julio scores double-digit touchdowns. We all know it's coming. So if he does that, I mean, he's a number 1 pick. Like I don't see how he's going like so high. I mean, it's to me he's going after people like Leonard Fournette, who I would take Julio ahead of Fournette. Dalvin Cook, I would take Julio ahead of Dalvin Cook. Melvin Gordon, that may be like the cutoff point for me, but for me, Julio Jones is a first-round pick. So, I mean, I that's what stuck out to me in the first and second round is that Julio is like really, really being undervalued, in my opinion.
I agree with you for the most part. Maybe not as strongly as you do, especially what you just said about like, oh, it's got to be coming, those double-digit touchdowns. It's got to be coming.
Flex, he scored 3 touchdowns last year.
Yeah, but that's what
Now-
Julio Jones does.
Yeah, but let me ask you this: if Julio Jones is the number one fantasy player next year, would that shock you?
No.
All right, now someone that has the upside of being the number one fantasy player in the entire game is going almost towards the end of the second round.
But a lot of those players in the first round could all be the number one fantasy players.
no,
a lot of them could.
no.
A lot of them could.
Not a lot. There's a handful. There's maybe 5 players that could end up being the number one fantasy player at the end of the year. Five or 6
In the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
I
mean, go through it.
In the first 2 rounds. All
Yeah.
right. Let's see this. Okay, right now. So you're telling me where to go. All right, I'll tell you right now. So it's like obviously any of those running backs, right? Antonio Brown.
Not all of the running backs. I mean, let's
Saquon
pump
could
our
be number
brakes for-
1. Kamara could be number 1. DeAndre Hopkins could be number 1. Antonio Brown could be number 1. Odell Beckham Jr. could be number 1.
No.
Odell can't be number 1.
I mean, he can. There's a way that he can, but the probability of him being number 1 is not super high.
Oh, okay. I can't wait till people want to hear how hyped you're getting about the Cowboys talk earlier and how low you're talking about Odell now and how they're going to start
I'm not
probably
low on
feeling
Odell.
how they start.
No, but what I'm saying, look, Odell's
You're saying
going,
it's not a high probability he could be number 1?
Odell's going 110, right?
Huh? Yeah, he's
110.
going 110. His
And-
average JDP.
And Julio Jones is going almost, towards the end of the second round on
Like
some drafts, 2.08.
3 more picks later.
No, it's not. He's 2.01 and then as low as 2.08,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if Julio Jones ends up having a better year than Odell Beckham, are you going to be shocked?
Are you going to be shocked the other way around?
No, I'm not.
That's okay, but you're saying the probability of Odell being number 1 overall fantasy player is low.
All right, look, you're the giant lover. I'll give you Odell. So who else do you
So
have?
that, like DeAndre Hopkins could easily be the number 1 fantasy player also.
Okay.
I wouldn't say,
All right, Melvin Gordon's not going to be the number 1 fantasy player in football. Kareem Hunt's
No,
not.
I'd be
Leonard Fournette's not.
I'd be shocked if
Dalvin
any of those
Cook
3 guys
is not.
Michael Thomas could be. Keenan Allen could be.
And Michael Thomas in that offense, no.
All right. Well,
On a run heavy offense, no.
I hear you, man. I
I
think
don't see
your
it.
opinion is a little bit more crazy.Moving on to another wide receiver that I think is also going pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
That a lot of people want to talk about because this is the introduction right now into the top 10 wide receivers is Devontae Adams. Okay, even when Aaron Rodgers went down last week,
Ooh, that's a good one.
yeah, even when Aaron Rodgers went down last year in Week 6, Adams still managed a healthy 16.2 fantasy points per game, despite being the way below average player Brett Hundley, and also having Jordy Nelson as the number 1 wide receiver there last year. Like I said, Devontae Adams still did good. Like I said, he's making his top 10 debut. No more Jordy Nelson. Aaron Rodgers is back for a full season, and I think it's a really safe pick at 2.06. It's just because it's not a familiar name or familiar face that's going up that high that maybe might worry some people. But you got to trust Aaron Rodgers number 1 wide receiver. You just got to trust Aaron Rodgers number 1 wide receiver. I think he's gonna have a top 10 finish. I personally still would rather have AJ Green or Christian McCaffrey or Devontae Freeman who are going after him. I still rather have one of those guys, but it's not like my feeling towards rather have one of those guys is by much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's climbing up the draft boards quick. Devontae Adams
yeah.
is on some drafts is going at the top of the second round.
Like I said, you had you had Brett Hundley and you still averaged 16.2 fantasy points per game.
Yeah.
You still did pretty well. And somebody else that I would like to talk about also in the first round. Not for nothing too. Another safe pick. Like I said, I'd rather have AJ Green. AJ Green is one of only 6 wide receivers to acquire 30+ percentages of the targets in multiple seasons in the past 10 years. So,
I mean, he's in that mix with Michael Thomas, Keenan Allen.
I rather have
and
AJ Green.
honestly, I would take him.
I rather
ahead of those
definitely
guys.
would have. Now, even last year, it wasn't a good year for him. He only averaged 14.4 fantasy points per game. But every other year for the past 5 years, he's been averaging 17.3 fantasy points per game. He's been getting you. That's real solid numbers you could get from your second round pick. That's very solid numbers. And he's been a Pro Bowler every year. Every year he's come in. He's led the Bengals target share percentages in 6 out of the past 7 years. I despite him kind of declining, I guess, and that's because of what you expect from AJ Green. I still see him as
I'm on
very
board.
safe pick
I'm on board with AJ Green.
All right, so moving on to rounds 3 and 4. Who do you got from your rounds 3 and 4?
So rounds 3 and 4, the player that stuck out to me the most is one Doug Baldwin.
Doug Baldwin.
Yeah. So Doug Baldwin, average ADP of 3.01. We all know that it's Russell Wilson's favorite target. Now, the interesting thing with him is that over the last 3 years, he's averaged 114 targets. And, with the loss of Jimmy Graham, who had 95 targets, Paul Richardson, who added another 80 targets, there's no way that he doesn't get about 130 targets in this offense. And that's really what we want out of our WR1. Your WR1, you want anywhere from 125 to 135 targets, because look, it's opportunity. Like you want those opportunities, and he's got the talent, and for him to be getting that type of increase in production, I think that at 3.01 there's still a ton of value there, and you're getting him at a good deal. So I like Doug Baldwin.
Yeah,
ton.
I've always loved Doug Baldwin. He's won me a league before. He was my flex player, and he's won me a league.
Right.
Like, I love Doug Baldwin.
Also, the touchdowns. Over the last 3 years, he's averaged almost 10 touchdowns per season.
Yeah. I think it's very consistent play from him. Only thing I'm worried about is, once again, that offense is not that good. And, the defense, that's going to help him.
Defense is depleted.
Depleted is crazy depleted.
Right. So it helps his fantasy
because
value.
they're going to play from
behind.
But I just feel like that's the only person they're going to really have to guard.
Right. But, look,
and remember, you go against the Cardinals twice.
Yeah.
So you're going against Patrick Peterson twice.
Yeah, but...
and you're going against the Rams
Patrick
twice.
Peterson, I don't think is not that monster that everybody makes him out to be.
But you're going against the Rams twice also. Yeah. So right there, out of 16 games, you got 4 of those games where he's going against very strong corners, a very strong secondary. And...
Peterson's been in the division for years, and his numbers, he's still delivered. You know what I mean?
It's still just. I love him. Don't get me wrong. I love him. I'm just, like I said, I'm just still scared about him because of certain things. I just realized we had this piece of plastic here on the table, and I never removed it. It's like,
so who are you looking at? Between rounds 3 and 4.
I'm looking at a couple of guys. Now remember that people say that, and there is more wide receivers than running backs. There is. So. You can find a lot of them throughout the rounds. There's a lot to talk about in all these rounds. But who I'm looking at, and I'll start off with this guy. Because I have a few guys I want to talk about. Two guys mainly.
So just let me tee it up for you. So between rounds and 4, these are the
rounds and 4?
Between rounds 3 and 4.
I make more mistakes. Don't worry about it.
Baldwin, Josh Gordon, Adam Thielen, T.Y. Hilton, Tariq Hill, Old Man Larry Fitz, Stephon Diggs, Amari Cooper, Demaryius Thomas, Juju, Allen Robinson, and Golden Tate. That's who's in the mix for those rounds.
Who I want to talk about, first off, is Josh Gordon. Now, I feel like he's getting a lot of attention, and he's getting a lot of question marks about him and concerns about him for good reason, because when he was on the field years ago, he was a stud at one point.
He was amazing.
Fantastic. Yes, he was absolutely fantastic. And I've mentioned my concerns with Jarvis Landry. I really have. And I mentioned that somebody on our first episode, we talked about buy and beware. And I said that you have to beware of Jarvis Landry because he's not going to get the target chance.
I'm not as concerned about Landry as you are, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm not as concerned about Josh Gordon as I am against Jarvis Landry. I think Josh Gordon is the better player. Now, Tyrod Taylor,
That's obvious, though. His whole thing is he's got to stay on the field.
Well, and of course, he has his issues. Sometimes they work. But the thing is that, like I said, is that Tyrod Taylor throws for under 3,000 yards. Now, Tyrod Taylor has never had a wide receiver with the, capacity and the talents of Josh Gordon or even anybody else around. Now, with Landry there, I think it only helps Josh Gordon because it's going to alleviate some of the defensive pressure off him. They got, Duke Johnson who's going to be able to catch the ball. They got Carlos Hyde who catches the ball well. They got Nick Chubb who's still to be seen what he could bring to the table. But they're not a bad offensive line either in Cleveland. So one thing about where Josh Gordon does a lot of his best work, or Tyrod, is that he catches a lot of balls for 15 or more yards down to the left side. That's what he does. And Tyrod Taylor does pretty effective there. Not too great because he only completes just under 42% of his passes to the left side for over 15 yards. Just about 42% of the passes he completes.
Now, let me ask you this because this is pretty important. If Baker Mayfield is under center, you think that helps or hurts his production in terms of fantasy?
If Baker may that's off the bat, I would say hurts.
It hurts him? You think so?
I would say hurts.
Okay.
Because and we'll talk about that also a little bit later in the show. I have something I want to talk about. But there's only 2 rookie quarterbacks out of the draft this year that I trust are still going to be standing are Sam Darnold and Josh Allen. I think those are the only 2 my opinion, and I could be wrong. that those are the only two quarterbacks that are going to be left standing out of everybody in that quarterback class.
Okay.
So I think it hurts, But like the only running back that wide receiver that Tyrod Taylor that was even close to a Josh Gordon was Sammy Watkins, and Sammy Watkins never lived up to the hype when he got drafted. Remember that year he got drafted. He got drafted over Brandon Cooks, Odell, Mike Evans.
Yeah,
never lived up to that hype. So, like I said, the main problem is just target share. But I still see Josh Gordon as being the number one. I would rather have Adam Thielen or T.Y. Hilton over Josh Gordon, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. But I still like him there where he's going, and I think he should be drafted.
Okay.
Somebody else stick out to you?
Yeah. Another interesting guy is T.Y. Hilton.
Thank you, Hilton.
Yeah. Average ADP of 3.06. Now, here's the thing with Hilton. A lot of his production is going to be contingent on whether Andrew Luck is going to be available. Now, here's the thing. If you're drafting, anywhere between now and, let's say, mid to late August, this is a gamble that could really pay off for you because we're not going to know if Andrew Luck's going to be ready by the end of training camp, it looks like. But there's some serious upside with T.Y. Hilton if Luck is under center. If Luck is under center, he's a WR1 without a doubt. Would you agree?
100%.
Yeah. So to get a WR1 potentially in the middle to late third round, that's a ton of value right there. If Andrew Luck is under center, I think it's a no-brainer that he's a WR1. If you look at the numbers, Andrew Luck's WR1 has finished within the top 12 3 out of the 4 years that he's had a full season. The other year, he finished in the top 18. So T.Y. Hilton's success is directly correlated with the health of one Andrew Luck. So, I think that Andrew Luck will be ready by the time the season starts. So I'm not afraid to gamble on T.Y. Hilton in the middle to end of the third round. So T.Y. Hilton stuck out to me.
Yeah, I took a gamble on T.Y. Hilton last year in a lot of my leagues. I took him second.
Yeah.
It did not pay off.
Didn't pay off.
No, it paid off for one game. For the one game, but that game was crazy.
Yeah, because he's talented. You know what I mean? But it makes a difference when Luck's back there.
Yeah, no, like I said, if you had him that one game last year, he had 175 yards and 2 touchdowns. And only off 5 receptions. But I've always been a big fan of T.Y. Hilton. I've always been a huge fan of him. And so exactly, if Andrew Luck's there and at that price, especially if you go like running back for your first 2 picks in the draft, and then you decide to take T.Y. Hilton in the third as your wide receiver 1. If Andrew Luck's healthy and you have running back, and then T.Y. Hilton,
you're sitting pretty
solid. You're
sitting pretty
solid. I agree with that. Another guy that I want to talk about that I feel is going to do pretty well this year too is not for nothing, Demaryius Thomas. Now,
Demaryius.
To tell you, this is an ugly fact. So while Peyton Manning was there and the quarterback for the Denver Broncos, Demaryius Thomas averaged 19.2 fantasy points per game. That is what you really want from your wide receiver 1. But when he left, only 13.6.
Yeah. He had a couple of monster years, man, and then just
with Peyton Manning.
Yeah, and just fell off the face of the earth.
So I believe that there's still value with him going in the 4th round. He's going as 4.06 as wide receiver 18.
Oh, yeah. There's definitely value there for sure.
Because now he's at his best quarterback since Peyton Manning with Case Keenum. Now, Case Keenum's nowhere near anything like Peyton Manning, but with Case Keenum there...
He's an upgrade, though, over what they've had.
No, yeah, it's saying he's a huge upgrade over what they had. I love him as ADP because I don't see him falling outside the top 20 at all, and I like him a lot better than Juju Smith or Allen Robinson, who are going right after him. So I'd rather be grabbing him before I grab a guy, somebody like an Allen Robinson or Juju Smith-Schuster. I think Juju Smith-Schuster, for me, is a little overrated. He's going way too high. I like Golden Tate better, but not even that, to be honest.
Really?
I like Golden Tate better than Juju Smith-Schuster, but out of that Lions offense, I still rather have Marvin Jones because I think he costs less, and they're still going to put about at the end of the year the same amount of numbers. So that's what's my take about Demaryius Thomas is just because it's just ugly. He's only averaging 13.6 without Peyton Manning, and I think it's going to go significantly higher now with Case Keenum in this year. Moving on, rounds 5 through 6.
Yes, 5 through 6. Who stuck out to you? You go first on this one.
All right, cool. I'll go first. So who stuck out to me is Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks come out to me. Now, one thing about Brandon Cooks is that he's coming off 3 straight seasons with at least 1,000 receiving yards. All right, now that puts him as currently with other 4 wide receivers, with 4 current wide receivers that are doing that. That's Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, Mike Evans, and Larry Fitzgerald. That's good company to be in.
Mike Evans. I don't know. Every time you say that name, anger arises. But
yeah. I had some notes about him for the first 2 rounds, but we'll talk about that in a future show. Now, what I think about Brandon Cooks is that he's going to be a boom or bust player.
Mm-hmm.
That's who's going to end up being on the Rams. So he's a speedster, right? He's a big speedster, and he really could run down the field and catch those long balls. Because what as much as he does, he's a speedster in a deep threat. He does catch passes under 14 yards really well. 65% of his passes he catches under 14 yards. But the only thing that would hold, I think, Brandon Cooks back is because where he really thrives is catching the ball to the right side for over 15 yards. Mm-hmm. He gets 71% of his catches on that side. He thrives there. Like I said, he's a speedster. Unfortunately, in Sean McVay's offense with Jared Goff, that's where Jared Goff throws his least amount of passes to the right side over 15 yards. Not only that, it's also he has his lowest completion percentage, which is 31% only. Mm-hmm. So you tell me out of every 10 passes he's going to throw to the right side over 15 yards, only 3 of them are going to be caught. Mm-hmm. He doesn't really excel throwing there. Sean McVay doesn't really throw there where Brandon Cooks excels. Now, this is why I say boom or bust, because that could hold back Brandon Cooks from what he does really well. Or it's because now that Brandon Cooks is there and able to make those catches, that's where they'll take advantage of and thrive on it. Mm-hmm. So that's why I say that it's, and with the 5th, taking him in his ADP, which is where is it? What's his ADP right now? I wouldn't even have that written down. I should have that written down. My bad.
ADP is
504. Yeah, 5.04. Thank you.
And he's going as high as 6'11".
As high as low?
I'm sorry, as low as 6'11".
All right. I was like, wait, what? Doing it ass backwards. But yeah, so I think he's going to be a boom and bust player, that he's the type of player that could really give you value there. But since you're taking him there, he's not really going to destroy your league for you, because right there you're looking at possibly your first bench player. So I think he's a solid guy to have on your bench and see how it develops, and play him in for a bye week. Maybe possibly even give you some trade bait in the future. So I like Brandon Cooks for where he's going. I don't think he should go any higher than where he is.
All right.
So we stood out to you in the rounds 5 through 6.
Chris Hogan, a.k.a. 7-Eleven. Uh-huh. He gave himself that nickname.
Self-proclaimed, right?
Self-proclaimed, because he's always open.
Always open.
Always open. But average ADP of 5.10. I like Chris Hogan. I think at that, where he's being drafted, there's value there. Mm-hmm. Now, last year, before he went down in week 8, he was targeted 54 times. Julian Edelman missed, pretty much the entire year last year. And obviously, everyone knows that he's out for the first 4 games this year. Mm-hmm. So he was, a target monster. To be targeted that many times in 8 games, that's legit. On top of that, his average per catch was almost 14 yards. So Brady loves this guy. And I think this year, I project him for about 90 to 100 targets. Mm-hmm. Now, he's going to be, a WR3, let's say. Okay. Or a great flex option. And at that, I could see him at the end of the year, if you tell me that he puts up WR2 numbers, I would not be surprised. The talent level is there. The quarterback who's going to give him opportunities is there. And I just see plenty of upside with Chris Hogan going towards the end or beginning of the 6th round.
Yeah, especially as long as he stays healthy.
Yeah.
But then you got to kind of worry, too, with Julian Edelman coming back. He's going to do great those 4 games, but then he's going to have to take a back seat to that. And, of course, Gronk is going to be his favorite target.
But Amendola's gone.
Yeah. No, he'll be the number 2, but it's just he'll still take the back seat. I mean,
yeah. And just from what I've seen, sorry for that, I mean,
fine. No, but
right. I saw, him and Brady seem like they have a good connection.
Yeah, Brady loves him.
Brady loves him. So, Brady has made stars out of a lot of people, man.
Yeah.
He's Amendola, Edelman. The list goes on and on.
No, Brady
Wes Welker. Remember what he did for Wes Welker's career?
Yeah.
So I think the opportunities are there, combined with the talent level. Like, look, this kid, he's talented. He could run. His route running is really impressive. So there's a reason why he gave himself the name 7-Eleven. So
like I said, but Brady loves him, but he also loves Edelman and Gronk more.
Yeah.
So it's just
I just think the opportunities are going to be there. That's why
I think they are. I just don't think they're going to be there for the full long length of the season.
You think over or under 100 targets for the year?
Under.
Like way under?
About like 88.
from my wide receiver 3, I'll take that all day.
I gotta set up the bet sound. Drop,
Yeah,
because we gotta make a bet. But we're gonna make that bet. I say under 100 targets this year.
Under 100?
Yeah.
Well, you said 80.
Under 100. You asked for.
All right, I say over 100. I'll take the bet.
Yeah. Over under. Don't make it to what I assume he's gonna get. The over under.
I'll take the bet.
All right, we gotta work this out. You and I. We have to talk about when we make this bets and then how it's gonna work out at the end of the year.
We'll read the list prior to week 1.
Yeah, we'll save it. But right now, so you say Chris Hogan gets over 100 targets this year. I say under 100 targets in a year. I'm gonna make up a drop for that for the next episode. And we don't think we did agree though because it's BFB. So we make a bet. It's a big effing bet.
Big effing bets. That's a big effing bet.
Yeah. So I'm a little bit nervous about him there. Just real quick, the only one guy I want to say left in that round 2 is just Will Fuller. The only reason I just want to say him is that I just think he could be a sleeper because with your boy, Deshaun Watson's on the center, Will Fuller kills. Mm-hmm. But he kills because he's touchdown dependent, okay? When Watson's on the center, Will Fuller averaged 20.9 fantasy points per game. Mm-hmm. All right, that's a monster, but I think he's a major boom or bust player.
Yeah.
But once again,
he's like the definition of boom or bust. Like
absolutely, because he's so touchdown dependent. He only he averaged about 2 touchdowns a game. With Deshaun Watson there. All right, so moving on because we're gonna wrap up soon enough. We'll go to around 7 through 10. Do you want to mention somebody from around 7 through 10?
Yes. Am I allowed to talk about another Cowboy?
Yeah. Go ahead, yeah.
So, Allen Hurns. Allen Hurns is going right at the beginning of round 9 in ADP. Now, let's think about this for a second. Now, Dez Bryant had 133 targets last year as a WR1 in the system. So, my thing is this, is that is Allen Hurns, a great wide receiver? No, absolutely not. But the thing is, someone has to be targeted in this offense, and he's by far their best wide receiver. I mean, look, they're big on this kid Gallup. Cole Beasley is going to do his work out of the slot. Terrence Williams is a big question mark to me. He's got some off-the-field issues. So the opportunities are going to be there. And if you're telling me that he's going to get 100 targets, I think out of my WR3, I'll take that, no problem. Especially this late in the draft. Now, he's been hurt the last couple of years, but the last year that he played a full season, he caught 64 balls on 105 targets, a whopping 10 touchdowns, and just over 1,000 receiving yards. So for me,
that was a great year.
Yeah, so for him to get 100 targets out of someone that's going in the 9th round, I'm on board. I'm on board with Allen Hurns.
Yeah, I really don't.
There's no question that he's the number 1 receiver in that offense.
Absolutely. I'm really not against Allen Hurns at all. Drafting him, I like to draft him this year myself. Because for everything you just mentioned, I mean, he's got to throw the ball to somebody. I mean, you can't. There's got to be somebody there to help Zeke.
Right.
To help alleviate pressure off him. Now, Allen Hurns. The thing with Allen Hurns, you could do a lot worse than Allen Hurns. He's not a wide receiver. Many teams he goes on, he's not the wide receiver 1 for many teams.
No.
He's really not. But you could do a lot worse than Allen Hurns as your wide receiver 1. You could do worse than him. But I'm not crazy about him. But because he's just so alone out there as a wideout for the Cowboys that somebody should take.
But from a fantasy perspective, you wouldn't be happy with him as your WR3?
As my R3,
you could potentially have a number 1 receiver at WR3. You know what I mean? Like a number 1 option in terms of receiver in the offense. He's a number 1.
Okay. I thought you meant as a wide receiver 1.
No.
All right. Okay. No, that's what I thought you were just saying.
I didn't drink before the podcast, Flex. But yeah, I mean, he's the number 1 receiver in that offense, and to get him, that late, I'm on board.
No, yeah, I like
bullish
it's
on
so
Allen Hurns.
in on ESPN rankings, when ESPN did their fantasy summit rankings, when they get all the ESPN analysts and sports guys together and they rank their fantasy players, there was only 2 Cowboys that made all the rankings. Only 2 Cowboys, and that is Zeke and Allen Hurns.
Yeah, ESPN. What do they know?
Yeah, what do they know? Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, no, I like Allen Hurns. I agree with you there overall, especially if he stays healthy because he's had his health issues,
injury concerns.
Yeah. One guy that I also like a lot in these rounds, just to wrap it up for the wide receiver segment, just real quick, is DJ Moore. DJ Moore, I just like him, is going as 9.12. So it's around this time. If you're not looking at a quarterback and you're not looking at a defense around that time, I think DJ Moore is a great player to have on your bench, especially for him going around 9.12. That means if you're in a keeper league, I think it's a great keeper to have. Now, Cam Newton, I like a lot this year because he has so many targets to throw the ball to. He's got his favorite Greg Olsen back. He's got a great pass catch in Christian McCaffrey. He's got Devin Funchess, who showed real well. But still, I still think that DJ Moore is going to give him a run for his money. Now, pardon me, as I said that Devin Funchess was doing well last year, and with Kelvin Benjamin leaving and everything, he was averaging about 12.2 fantasy points per game. That's solid flex play. Mm-hmm. He was given solid flex play, Devin Funchess, last year. And he's also, like I said about Allen Hurns, he's not, if you put Devin Funchess in any other team, he's not a wide receiver 1 for most teams, which I think that Allen Hurns is better than Devin Funchess. Mm-hmm. But he's not a wide receiver 1 for most teams. So DJ Moore, there's got to be a reason that he was the first wide receiver taken in the draft this year. I thought Calvin Ridley was the best wide receiver in the draft.
Yeah.
But they took DJ Moore as the best wide receiver in the draft.
I thought the Cowboys were going to take him.
DJ Moore? Yeah. I thought they were going to take that guy, Kirtland, Strickland, whatever. What was his name?
Sutton.
Yeah, there you go. Kirtland Sutton. Yeah. I thought they were going to take him.
Yeah.
But,
he ended up going in the second round, though.
Yeah, to the Broncos.
Yeah.
But still, so there's a reason that he was taken as the first wide receiver off this year. And I think that it's still up for grabs for him to be the number 1 wide receiver for Cam Newton. Because, defense is already so worried about what Cam does with his feet on the ground. So for him to throw it out to the air to a guy like DJ Moore, who's a big, strong guy, I think he's going to do it well. So he's great for a keeper. And another guy also, just finish it out, Kelvin Benjamin. And the only reason for Kelvin Benjamin, I just say that honestly, because he could have a terrible year, but where he's going, he's not going to ruin your season. Mm-hmm. But he's the wide receiver 1. There's nobody else.
Right.
Who's he going to throw the ball to?
Right.
Josh, I said it before at the beginning, and this is what I want to mention about Josh Allen. I think that Sam Darnold and Josh Allen are the 2 best quarterbacks in the draft. I think they're going to be the last quarterback standing. They're going to be significant in the NFL. I think Josh Allen's a great quarterback, and he has to throw to somebody. That's going to be
You think they're both on the center week 1?
No, I wouldn't be surprised if Sam Darnold was. Mm-hmm. Wait, no, Josh Allen, yeah. Josh Allen's on the center week 1, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think they both are.
I don't think Sam Darnold should be, but it's the Jets.
It's the Jets, man.
So who knows?
The fan base definitely wants him to be number 1. I can tell you that.
So wrapping up right there, the wide receivers, and talking about Jets. So, we're talking about the Jets a little bit. We're wrapping up here, the wide receivers. We're going to go finish it off with questions like we do at every show because we only got a couple of minutes left. So talking about questions, we got a question from a fan. Did we not, Charlie?
We have our first listener question from good old Cousin Joe. So Cousin Joe asks, who on the Jets would garner the highest fantasy pick, if any? Mm-hmm. I threw the if any part in there. Sorry, Joe.
Be nice.
I think that there's actually 2 Jet players that I would look at. I think Isaiah Crowell, I'm not going to get into all the reasons why because we're running out of time, but he has an ADP of 8.06, and he looks like he's going to be the feature back in that offense. Yeah. So, to get a back that's going to get a majority of the touches that late, I'm on board. 8.06, I could use a little bit of Isaiah Crowell. The other player, and this is a big question mark because he's facing a possible suspension, but Robbie Anderson. Mm-hmm. Did you see that kid last year?
Yes, I did see him. I watch football.
That kid, he's explosive, man. He's explosive. He's got tremendous upside.
He took the Jets by storm last year when he came out of nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, he's super talented. He was targeted 114 times last year. If he stays on the field and he could get all of the off-the-field troubles resolved, he's got some serious upside, especially where he's being drafted. Robbie Anderson, I'm a fan. I can't believe I'm saying that about a Jet. Also caught 7 touchdowns last year.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, you don't know what I go through in my family.
Right. I know.
But Robbie Anderson, Cousin Joe, to answer your question, Isaiah Crowell and Robbie Anderson is other Jets that I would be looking at.
I love Robbie Anderson as a pick, especially for the same reasons I said about Calvin Benjamin. I'm not worried about Terrell Pryor. I'm not worried about Lockett. I think that Robbie Anderson is
Pryor's a wild card.
I'm not worried about him.
Pryor's a wild card. He's super talented. He's got to get it together.
I think he was a fluke.
You think so?
I think he was a fluke.
I think he's got some game.
Because he wasn't a good quarterback. And then he's had a year or two as a wide receiver pretty good. But, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's talented. But I think
he was a bad fit in Washington.
Yeah, he was.
He was a terrible fit in Washington. But I think, in the Jets system, I think he'll get opportunities.
Yeah, and then another ex-Cleveland Brown on the Jets with Isaiah Crowell. Yeah, Isaiah Crowell's going to go first, and I get it. But my main thing about Isaiah Crowell is it's not like he was in a way better situation now than he was in Cleveland.
Right.
He's in the same situation, basically.
Right. But
he's on a bad offensive team behind like a mediocre, it's not the worst line, but it's not like a great line either.
But here's the thing, though. Where he's going in the draft, at 8.06, to me, that's a point where you're taking best player available. You know what I mean? And to get a number one running back that late makes a ton of sense.
You mean starting running back that late?
Starting running back.
Starting running back that
that's
late.
What I meant.
Yeah, that's what you meant. Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I mean, I'd rather get some other people, but anyway, so moving on now to other questions. So, you want to ask me a question, or you want me to ask you first?
Go ahead, you go.
Okay, you sure?
Mm-hmm. Why do you got that look on your face, Flex?
Recently, you did an obstacle course per se, right? What was it called?
Oh, the Rugged Maniac.
You did the Running Maniac. Did you enjoy that?
Yes.
Why did you do it wearing express pants? Cuffed at the bottom, tight, and in an athletic showcase.
It was, which I did pretty good, by the way.
And you did it with express pants.
Well, here's the thing. It wasn't the best choice for the event.
I don't think anybody ever wore anything express for athletic stuff.
I was running late, and my brother-in-law was downstairs honking the horn, and that's the only thing that I could find. So that's what I grabbed. And that's my answer to that.
That's just sad. That's sad. All right, so that's about all the time we have over here for this episode right now of the Better Fantasy Bureau. Just to let y'all know, once again, you can follow us on Instagram at BFB Podcast, Twitter at Podcast BFB. The number to call us is 856-369-0461. Please go on iTunes and rate us. Subscribe to us YouTube, rate us and everything. Charlie wants to say goodbye to the party people.
Goodbye, party people. Goodbye, Bureau. We'll see you the next time.
Peace, party people.